When you're dating a narcissist, it is like whirlwind. I mean, it's almost always that way. The chemistry is there. They are just over the top with the compliment. You feel like you've met your soulmate,
Right.
especially when they start talking about things that are important to you. Like, one day we're going to get married. Can't wait to get married. Can't wait to plan the marriage. Can't wait to build a house with you. Can't wait to have children with you. I am going to take you on an elaborate honeymoon. All of these things, when you're in this powerful, what you think is a real relationship, sound amazing.
Right. Welcome to the Victim to Warrior podcast.
Warrior Talk. We're John and Melissa, and we are both narcissistic abuse survivors, and our mission is to help other survivors reclaim and rebuild their lives.
Right. Today's episode, we're going to talk about future faking. What is future faking? What does it look like? And how to protect yourself from future faking. And we're even going to share our future faking stories.
Now, you can watch us on YouTube, but we're also streaming live on Apple, iHeart, Spotify, anywhere you want to listen to the audio, you can do that.
So you can listen to us while you're driving.
Yeah, especially if you need your privacy.
So let's talk about future faking.
Okay.
What is it?
Okay, future faking is a manipulating tactic, of course, they're always manipulating, that a narcissist uses to project a future that their victim finds very attractive and alluring. And it is to, one, keep them hoping,
Right.
keep them hooked in the relationship, keep them emotionally dependent, or even invested in creating this future. So when you think about it, when you're dating a narcissist, it is like whirlwind. I mean, it's almost always that way. The chemistry is there. They are just over the top with the compliment. You feel like you've met your soulmate,
Right.
especially when they start talking about things that are important to you. Like, one day we're going to get married. Can't wait to get married. Can't wait to plan the marriage. Can't wait to build a house with you. Can't wait to have children with you. I am going to take you on an elaborate honeymoon. All of these things, when you're in this powerful, what you think is a real relationship, sound amazing.
Right.
So we've both been through it. So what does yours look like? Because it can be several different things.
Yeah, what mine used to use future faking with, if it's I was upset about something that was going on with her behavior. Like she was so insecure, so insecure. But she would always tell me, but when we get married, it won't be that way. I won't be insecure anymore. Or she was emotional, so emotional all the time. And I would say, why are you this way? Why can't you just be more level? Well, if we were married, it wouldn't be this way anymore. So she kept putting that out in front of me. Every time I would talk about something that was going on in our relationship that I wasn't comfortable with, she would throw that out there. Oh, but wait until we're married. Everything will be better. It'll be different.
So she always used that as an excuse, is that's why she was jealous. That's why she was insecure. But if you gave her that commitment, then her behavior, that was a huge red flag,
Yeah.
huge red flag.
And I completely missed.
And believe me, we both
Right.
missed it. One of the telltale signs are words and no action.
Right.
I mean, if they're saying things, but the action speaks differently, especially if somebody's saying, I'll do better when we get married.
Yeah.
I mean, mine would be with these elaborate romantic gestures, like 6 months into the relationship. Now it's a whirlwind, and I'm thinking, wow, okay, I've met my soulmate here. Well, he did this elaborate birthday surprise for me where he asked my son to let him in our home, and he had roses set up in every single room and a card for each month that we'd been together, and just everything about that month. I mean, it was over the top, but the very last card talked about our honeymoon to Italy. Now, I had always mentioned that that was my dream place to go on a honeymoon. Now, we were not engaged. He had not proposed, but he set that in my mind. I'm looking at this thinking, wow, he's thinking about marriage. He's thinking about a future. He's thinking about going to Italy on our honeymoon. I fell for it. It's like,
Flooded sinker.
oh my gosh. I mean, when things sound too good to be true, please don't ignore these red flags like we did.
Right.
So if they are promising you things that sound very too good to be true, ask them when.
Yeah.
Because if someone's gonna promise something, at least you can write it down. Like in your case, she promised that she wouldn't be insecure, she wouldn't be jealous if you married her. So you're thinking, okay, well, I don't want her to be that way anymore, so I'm gonna marry her. Obviously, it did not change, or we wouldn't be here
Right,
together.
right, right.
Anyway,
Thankfully, it didn't change.
yeah, exactly.
But it was too late. Once I realized it, it was too late. I should have set up deadlines
Yeah.
before we got married and said, "Listen, I've got to see these things changing before we get married." Would have been
Yeah.
the smart move to do. So you mentioned something about, when promises and actions don't line up. So that's kind of a telltale warning sign
Yes.
that if you're getting these promises but you're not seeing the actions, there's a disconnect there. And so
And you feel it. You do feel it
like
because you're saying, "Well, you said this," but then all of a sudden, when you ask them, they give you an excuse. They give you a delay tactic, or worse, they'll say because you're pressuring them, that's the reason they didn't do it. So then they blame shift. So you didn't make these promises, they did. You have to remember that. The narcissist is the one making the future faking promises to you. So don't feel bad when you're questioning them about something they said they were going to do and they didn't do it. That's something you really need to pay attention to.
Yeah, remember, this is your life,
Yes.
your future.
Yeah.
And so if these things aren't coming to fruition, you have to ask yourself, if they're not following through with these promises for me now, what makes me think it's going to change in the
Yeah.
future?
It shouldn't be conditional.
Like,
When you're in a relationship with someone and they are truthful, I mean, everyone has issues, but when it's a true, committed, honest relationship, when you start making plans together, you start planning together, you start seeing achievements, accomplishments. One of the things that he had me believe is he wanted me to buy a bigger house because he had 3 children from the marriage before mine. And he convinced me that we could save together and buy this big house. So I'm saving like crazy. He's not saving money. And
spitty.
no, no. And when I asked him about it, he said, "Well, I'm investing in my business for our future, but I have a house that when I sell it, I'm going to take all of that equity and put it into this investment account so we could buy this big house." Well, lo and behold, he finds this big house, convinces me to go ahead and get the mortgage because I sold my house. I had my investment, but he was still trying to sell his house. Well, after it was too late, I find out that house was in foreclosure.
Right.
So he had no equity, but I continued to allow him not to participate in his future promise, his future faking promise, but I kept doing it. So I was investing in something I thought was real. If you find things one-sided where here's the promise, you're moving toward that promise, you're the only one moving, but then they give you vague reasons why not, delay tactic excuses. Oh my gosh, those are times that you really need to take a step back and not go forward like you
Right,
did.
right. So let's talk about that. So if you're getting promises made and not followed through, I think the best thing to do is really kind of keep track of that, to journal these things, because a lot of times they'll try to manipulate you into thinking, well, I made that promise, but it was for this time,
Yeah.
or I'm going to do it at this point. So you need to keep track of
Like
these.
future faking on top of future faking.
Right. So keep track of these, write them in your journal, make sure those journals are, say, hidden.
Yeah.
But I think that's a really important thing. Another thing that you could do is go ahead and take that "Are they a narcissist?" questionnaire in our link in bio. I'm going to put the link in the description below.
Especially if you're unsure.
Yeah, if you're unsure of what you're dealing with, yeah, take the test. It asks you 15 questions, answer them honestly, and then it'll total up at the end. And then you kind of know, look, wow, I'm dealing with a narcissist here.
Because they are doing these things. They are making promises and excuses. They're not being held accountable for things that are falling through the cracks. They are famous for keeping you hooked in it by giving you little breadcrumbs, morsels, when this promise doesn't work out, they flip it to a different promise. If that's happening and it's all words and no actions, there cannot be a bigger red flag than that. But finding out if they're a narcissist is huge. That may make things make sense
Yeah,
to you.
yeah, exactly. One other thing too, if you want someone to talk to, because a lot of times your friends and family, the people that you confide in, they've never been future fake. They don't understand what it is.
They
And
think it sounds great
yeah,
because you're relaying this fantasy,
right.
and everybody's like, "Oh my gosh, that sounds awesome."
Yeah. So I would recommend if you're still just are really concerned, you have questions, set up a call with Melissa. She is just fantastic as far as a coach and can really help you
I've been
understand.
future fake
Yeah, if
big
you
time.
we both yeah, we both have. And then if you'd like to talk to me, please set up a call with me. I'm going to put our links in the description below and also the discount for setting up a call with Melissa if it's your first call. She is amazing. She'll really hold your hand, walk you through it, help you understand what you're dealing with so that you can make important decisions,
Yeah.
not like we did. We both fell for the future faking in a hard way, and
We
guess
didn't
what?
know that we didn't know, to put stop gaps in
Yeah,
things. We didn't know that when someone said, "Well, if you do this, then I'll do that." Why should it be conditional?
yeah, exactly.
Why should their bad behavior or possibly, something they said doesn't come to fruition, why should that be excused? Why shouldn't you be allowed to challenge it? Or to say, "Well, you know what? I'm not gonna step forward with that until you do this because that's what you said you were doing." Remember, you're not the one making these future fake promises. You're basically being lied to. You're only asking them to be held accountable for what they said they were going to do. And if they get defensive, vague, blame shift, those are things that you really, really need to pay attention to because just wanting something to be true when things don't add up will get you in this situation that we were in before. And I mean, it cost money, time, heartbreak, it just years of your life. And that's not what you want. So please be aware of these things, write them down, follow up. You have a right to ask questions about something that doesn't make sense, especially if they promised you something. So, you know what? And if you haven't subscribed,
Oh, please too.
please subscribe.
We're trying to grow this channel and spread this message to as many people as we can. So we really appreciate if you subscribe. Also, please comment if you have anything you want to talk about or any questions. I'm in our comments every single day. So please leave comments for us. We'd love to communicate with you on and answer anything we can.
Especially if
Leave
you're
comments.
going through some of this and you feel like you could be
We know, believe me, we know.
yeah,
So
or you've been through it and you wanna maybe give somebody else some advice on that because when you're in it, sometimes you just don't realize it, but if something feels off, generally it is off, and if you're getting conditional promises, that is probably the biggest red flag.
hey, one thing we didn't talk about, I want to mention Truth Finder.
Oh, yeah.
This if you feel like you're being future faked in a way, especially if you're going into a business relationship with somebody or a marriage with somebody and you have to make a really good decision, wouldn't it be great to understand what this person's true background is? Now, it could be everything could be perfect, copacetic all across the board, and then you really know. But I'm going to put the link to Truth Finder below, and check that out. You can do an anonymous,
It's
and
totally anonymous, yes.
and you check the background, um, arrest records and bankruptcies, judgments,
Catastrophes.
liens, all of those things. It can help you make a good decision because a lot of times it's just hard to know. So,
If I would have done that with mine, we would have never gotten married because he had the worst criminal background. I didn't know to do it. So I believed all of his faking lies and I didn't challenge them when they didn't come to fruition. Don't let that happen to you. You can actually check their background and being informed about these things, don't feel bad about asking. This is your future. This is your life. So don't let somebody mess it up
right.
for sure.
But thank you so much for being here today. Please remember to subscribe. Follow us on Spotify, iHeart,
Class. Any web stream music.
any of those places that you stream podcasts. Please stream us.
Yeah.
And we're so grateful for you, and we appreciate you being